All right, so in this video, we're going to go ahead and add all of our imports to our register screen in our login app. Let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our register screen right over here. Perfect. All right, we're going to be adding a couple imports at the top. So past the text right over here, we're going to do a comma, and we're going to add the style sheet as well. We're going to do a comma, and we're also going to go ahead and add the text input. We're going to do a comma again, and now we're going to go ahead and add the pressable, comma. We're going to add just the text as well. Oh, we already have the text. We don't need that again. Awesome. Make sure you got that in there. Perfect. All right. Right below the React import one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to import now. Make sure it doesn't auto-populate. We're going to import the use state like we did in the last couple. We're also going to go ahead and we're going to import the use effect as well. Awesome. Make sure you got all that in there. Perfect. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and import some things from Firebase again. So we're going to do import. We're going to go ahead, give some curly brackets. We're going to import the get auth. We're going to do a comma. We're also going to go ahead and we're going to import the create user with email and password. Perfect. We're also going to go ahead. We're going to use the sign in one as well. Sign in with email and password. Perfect. Comma. We're also going to go ahead and do one called update profile. We're going to be creating a profile on this one, comma. And I think that should be it. Awesome. Go ahead and make sure you got all that. Go ahead and get rid of that little curly bracket at the end if yours did that as well. Perfect. All right. So after that, we're going to go ahead. We're going to also do another import. We're going to do import for app from Firebase, just like that. Perfect. We're also going to go ahead and do another import. This time we're going to do one for the async storage. Go ahead, grab that as well. Awesome. All right, so make sure you have all these imports in. Don't forget to save. I will see you in the next video. All right, so in this video, we're going to go ahead and add the functions to our register screen in our login app. Let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So first thing we're going to do is pass in that navigation in our register screen equal parentheses. So let's go ahead and add that, give it some curly brackets. Then we're going to go ahead and put navigation. Just like that. Awesome. All right, so now let's go ahead and add some enters right over there underneath our constant. We're going to go ahead and create some more constants. So first one we're going to create is going to be a constant. Give it some brackets. Inside of it, we're going to put email, comma, and then set email. Then we're going to go ahead, do an equal sign, and we're going to do a use state. And then for that use state, we're going to go ahead and set it to empty quotes, just like that. Awesome. Let's go ahead and create another one now. Constant again. This one's going to be for the name. We're going to do a comma, and then we're going to do a set name. Awesome. All right, let's keep going. Then we're going to do an equal. Again, a use state. And then, of course, we're going to equal it to empty quotes, just like that. Perfect. All right. Now let's go ahead and do one for the password. So constant again. Brackets. We're going to do password, comma. Then we're going to do set password. Perfect. Let's go ahead, do an equal sign, use state. And again, set that to empty quotes inside parentheses. Perfect. All right, let's keep going. All right, so the next one we're going to do is for the image URL. So let's do another constant for that. We're going to put image, capital URL, comma, set image URL. Awesome. Then we're going to go ahead again, do an equal, use state. And then again, empty parentheses with just empty quotes inside of it. Awesome. All right. So far, so good. We're going to go ahead and create another constant now. This constant here is going to be the login values. So let's go ahead, do log in values. I think we've used that before. There we go. Comma. And then we're going to go ahead and do a set login values, comma. There we go. Let's go ahead and do an equal. And then we're going to go ahead and do a use state. And this time we're going to go ahead and set it to an empty array, just like that. Awesome. All right, let's create another constant. This one here is going to be the saved login values that we've used in the past. Make sure, though, it's inside some brackets like this. Saved login values, comma, and then set saved login values. Awesome. Go ahead, do an equal sign, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a use state. And then again, we're going to go ahead and equal this to an empty array, just like that. Awesome. All right, we got one more now. This one's going to be another constant. Go ahead, inside of here, we're going to pass in an if saved press, comma, set if saved pressed. Then we're going to go ahead, equal, use state again, not use effect, use state. In the parentheses, this time we're going to go ahead and just pass in false. Awesome, because on start, it's not pressed. All right, looking good. All right, let's go ahead and create the first function now. So first function is going to be the register function, and that's going to be an async function. So async, then we're going to do function. Then we're going to go ahead and call it register, lowercase. We're going to go ahead, give it some parentheses, open it up with a curly bracket. Awesome. All right, a couple things we're going to add in here. First, we're going to go ahead and do a constant auth. Then we're going to go ahead and equal that to our get auth. And then within some parentheses, we're going to put an app because we need to get our starting auth from our Firebase folder or file. All right, next thing we're going to do is our create user with email and password. All right, and in there, we're going to go ahead and pass in some values. The first one is the auth, of course. Then we're also going to go ahead and give it the email, comma, and then the password. Perfect. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and hit enter over here, and I'm going to do a dot then, because we want some things to happen once that user is created. I'm going to go ahead, give it some parentheses, empty parentheses, equal, less than, curly brackets, open it up. Awesome. All right, inside this then, we're going to have a couple things here. First thing we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and call constant auth again. And we're going to go ahead, again, equal that to the get auth. And again, we're going to go ahead and put app inside the parentheses, just like that. Perfect. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to sign in now with that new user. So sign in with email and password, just like we've done in the past. Open that up. Inside of here, again, set auth to auth. We're going to also go ahead, set email to email, and then password to password again. Perfect. Then inside this, we're going to also do another then, so dot then again, just like that. We're going to go ahead and do the same format of empty parentheses, equal, less than, curly brackets, open it up. Oh, don't forget the outer parentheses. Looks like I forgot. So one over there, and then I think one right there. Perfect. All right. So back inside the curly brackets of that then, we're going to go ahead and we're going to set some things. First thing I'm going to do is just do a simple console log, console.log, and then I'm going to go ahead and just say within quotes, user signed in. Awesome. All right, underneath that though, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a new variable. We're going to just call it new auth like we've done in the past. I'm going to go ahead and do equal curly brackets. Open that up. We're going to set email, 2 L's, colon, to email, comma. Then I'm going to set password, 2 D's, colon, to password again. Just like that. Awesome. All right, I'm going to end it with a comma there. All right, so then outside of that first then, we're going to go ahead. We also need to go ahead and do a set if saved pressed. And I'm going to go ahead now and set that to true, semicolon. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do set login values. Right down there. There we go. Set login values. I'm going to go ahead and set that to our new auth that we just created. Perfect. Semicolon. And then below that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to initiate one that's called update profile. I'm going to do two E's actually, because I don't want to name it the same as the function we're using. And we're going to create this eventually. So go ahead, keep that there. All right, and we're going to create this down the line. All right, looking good so far. Now we're going to need to do a catch for that current then. So let's go ahead and create that. I'm going to hit an enter there. I'm going to do a dot catch. I'm going to go ahead, give it some parentheses, inner parentheses. I'm going to put the word error. Make sure it's just error. Then I'm going to go ahead, do an equal, less than, curly brackets, open that up. In that first catch, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to do an alert and then pass in an error. There we go. Awesome. Looking good. Then for the next then, this one over here, we're going to do the same thing. So I can probably just copy this, paste it there. Awesome. All right. Looking good so far. We might actually need another set of parentheses. I think we're missing one set. It should be at the next. I'm going to get rid of that actually. And it should be over there. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to paste it just on this line. Perfect. All right. Looking good. I like it. All right. I think that should be it for that function. So we can move on to the next one. So go ahead and make sure you got all this down. All right. All right. Let's move on to the next one. So outside of that first function, we're going to go ahead and do a use effect now. Use effect, parentheses, empty parentheses. We're going to do a equal, less than, open it up, curly brackets. All right. In this use effect, I'm going to do an if statement. Inside the if statement, I'm going to do if saved pressed equals true. Then we're going to go ahead inside of here and initiate the store data function. Just like that, we'll create that in a minute. We're also going to go ahead and do a set if saved press, and we're going to set that to false. Awesome. All right, make sure you got that there as well. Perfect. And then also we're going to add a comma here at the end of that use effect. We only want this to initiate. So make sure it's inside of it though. Just like that. Now, if that happens, of course, we're going to only want this to initiate when the login values change. Awesome. All right. Make sure you got all that for that one. Perfect. All right. Below that, we're going to go ahead and create another use effect. Let's go ahead and add some empty parentheses in it. Equal, less than, curly brackets, open it up. Awesome. And this one, we're going to just run initially when the page opens up. So just like that. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead in here and I'm simply going to go ahead and do a get, and I'm going to do a data parentheses. Oop. We're going to do get data and then just empty parentheses, semicolon. This might not be needed, but I'm just going to have it just in case. All right, let's go ahead and close that with semicolon. All right, let's go ahead on to the next one. We're going to do another use effect below this as well. We're going to give it some parentheses, some inner parentheses. All right, let's go ahead and finish it up with an equal, less than, curly brackets, open it up. All right, so for this use effect, we want it to initiate if our saved login values changes. Let's go ahead, type in saved login values. All right. Now, inside of here, we're going to go ahead. We're going to set an if statement. We're going to do an if, give it some parentheses. In the if statement, we're going to say saved login values dot length. And we're going to say does not equal 0. Perfect. And then inside of here, we're just simply going to put a simple console log. This is just for tracking, console log. And then in the parentheses, I'm going to go ahead and just put saved login values. Awesome. All right. Perfect. Now, let's go ahead and save those changes. All right, let's work on the next function now that we have all our use effects in here. All right, this one's going to be for the store data, which we've already done. Or actually, I don't think we've done this one yet. So let's go ahead and create it. Let's do an async function again. We're going to do word function. We're going to call it store data, parenthesis. Let's go ahead, open it up with some curly brackets. All right, so we're going to add a couple things in here. Oop. Scroll on down. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to add a console log first. Console.log. Give it some parentheses. I'm going to just go ahead and log the login values, just like that. Then we're also going to go ahead and do another console log. .log. Give it some parentheses. In these parentheses, I'm just going to go ahead and say the word working. All right. Then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to create a try. Open it up, some curly brackets. All right. Oop, make sure you are outside of that parenthesis. There we go. All right. Inside the try, let's go ahead and create a constant. In this constant, I'm just going to call it saved values like we did in the past. I'm going to go ahead and equal that to login values. Perfect. Semicolon. Then we're going to create another constant. Call that JSON value. Go ahead, equal await. And then we're going to do an async storage dot set item. Go ahead, open it up. Then we're going to use the key value. And if you remember, we made that in the app.js. So I'm going to go ahead, find it, make sure it's the right one. Should be up a little bit. There it is, my login info. All right, go back to register, paste that in here. All right, perfect. And then we're going to go ahead, do a comma, type in capital JSON dot stringify. And then we're going to go ahead and do the saved values. Awesome. All right, make sure you got that in there. Perfect. Looking good so far. I like it. Awesome. All right, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead after the try, or actually still inside the try. Don't leave the try yet. We're going to do another console log. .log. In the parentheses, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to put in quotes of data stored. There we go. Awesome. Then we're going to go ahead after that, still inside the try, we're going to go ahead and set email to empty quotes. We're also going to go ahead, we're going to set password to empty quotes. We're also going to go ahead and we're going to set image URL. Make sure you're not in that parenthesis. I keep getting stuck in there. Set image URL also to empty quotes. Perfect. And then I think we're missing one, which is just the set name. So let's go ahead and do that again. Set name. Again, empty quotes. Awesome. All right. Looking good. I like it. Then, of course, we want to do is a navigation. I'm going to do navigation.navigate. I'm going to go ahead and set that to home. Awesome. All right. And then after that, we're just going to do our return and set that to JSON value. Just like that. Perfect. And then after that try, we're going to do a catch. So we could do catch. And then we're going to go ahead. I'm just going to use E to represent the error. Open it up. And then do an alert. And then put an E inside that as well. Awesome. All right. Looking good so far. I like it. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. I'm going to control save that. Make sure we have everything working. All right. That's your store data function. Perfect. Let's go ahead and move on down to the next one. Now this one's going to be the get data because we're going to need this to sign in. Let's go ahead, do the async function. I'm going to call this get data. Open that up. Perfect. All right, we've done this similar as well. Let's go ahead. We're going to do a try. Open that up. In the try, we're going to go ahead and create the constant. Actually, you know what? Instead of doing this whole thing, what we can do instead is just copy what we have here in this one for the set item. So let's go ahead. and copy. Actually, you know what? It might be a little different. We might not be able to do this for that. Let's just start it over from scratch. All right. Oh well. In the try, we're going to go ahead and do a constant. We're going to do JSON value, again, to equal await. And then I'm going to do async storage dot get item. And then dot get item, let's go ahead and we're going to pass in some parentheses and some quotes. And in here, we're going to get the specific item we want, which of course is the my log info. Let's go ahead and put that there. Perfect. Now that we got the data, we're going to go ahead and transition it into something we can use. So then we're going to do another constant. This is going to be the JSON2 value. Just like that, we're going to equal it to capital JSON dot parse. And then we're going to go ahead and pass in the JSON value. Awesome. Now we can go ahead and mess with it now that we have it in its own value. Perfect. Then to mess with it, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go down to an if. Inside this if, we're just going to say if JSON value or value 2, JSON value 2, again, does not equal null. Then we're going to go ahead and do something. In there, we're just simply going to do a set saved login values and then pass it in as the JSON value 2. Awesome. All right, perfect. Make sure you got that there. Then let's go ahead and do a catch at the bottom. And simply enough, we can just use the same catch we did over here. So I'm going to copy that and just paste that in. Perfect. All right, looking good so far. I like it. You can save that. All right, let's go ahead and scroll on down. Now that we have our get data function, we're going to go ahead and do the last one, which is going to be for the updating profile. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and create a constant for that. We're going to call it the update profile. Go ahead, do an equal sign, parenthesis, and go ahead, do an equal sign less than. Open up the curly brackets. All right, inside of here, we're going to do a const auth as well. Equal get auth. And then within there, we're going to do app. And then a semicolon at the end. And then the next part, we're going to do update profile. Then we're going to go ahead and actually, I think we named it update profile with 2 E's, if I remember. Let's go ahead and scroll up to where we named it. Update profile. Yep, 2 E's. Make sure to do that or it's going to be wrong. So we could do, yep, update profile, because we can't name it the same as the function we're using from Firebase or it's going to get confused. All right, so let's do that again. Let's do update profile. For the update profile, let's go ahead and pass in some values. We got to pass in auth. And then we're going to do dot current user, comma. And then we're going to go ahead, give it some curly brackets, open that up, and then we got to set the certain parameters that we want to set. I'm going to go ahead and do display name. And then I'm going to go ahead and set that to the name state that we have. I'm also going to go ahead and do the photo URL. And I'm going to set that to a default photo. Now, if you wanted to, you could set this to our one that we're passing in, which is the image URL. All right. But because I'm not going to be basically searching a new image URL on my virtual device, then I'm just going to put in a plain one that I found on Google. This is just like a blank face image that we can use. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Let me just find the end to it. It's pretty long. There we go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and paste this in with some quotes. It's a little long. Might reformat it though for me. All right, there we go. I just copied the address basically on an image. You can do that as well if you want. Or you can put in your own when you actually test the app. It's up to you. All right, but once we have that though, then we can go ahead and continue on. I'm going to go ahead. Looks like we're missing a block here as well. That's okay. All right. So once we got that in there, make sure you're still inside the parenthesis. All right. So outside of that, then we can go ahead. I'm going to save that. Then outside of that, we're going to do a dot then. So do a dot then. All right. Actually, I can go ahead and enter it just to make it look nicer. Dot then, perfect. And then in this dot then, we're going to go ahead, pass in the result, or take out the result, do an equal less than, curly brackets, open it up. And I'm just going to put a simple console.log. And I'm going to go ahead and just put success. And then colon. And then I'm going to go ahead and just comma and then result. Perfect. Other than that, I'm going to put a semicolon. And then we have to do the catch also at the end of this. So let's go ahead, do the dot catch. And then go ahead, let's give it the error. Or you know what, instead of typing this whole thing out again, what we could do is simply use our catch that we did right over here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. Make sure it's still inside everything. I think we have a little mix up. Hold on. We could do we'll do a dot catch. Then we'll give it some parentheses. Inside the parentheses, you can put E. Then we could do the equal, less than, open it up, perfect. And then do an alert, and then just pass in the E. Awesome. All right, make sure you got that. Go ahead and save it, Control S. All right, looking good so far. Perfect. Don't worry about the error. We'll fix that in the next video. All righty. See you then. All right, so in this video, we're going to go ahead and create the structure for our register screen in our login app. Let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, let's go ahead and get started on that structure. So let's go ahead and scroll on down to our return right over here. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of the text inside of it. We can keep the view. So inside that view though, let's go ahead and add a new style to that. So let's add style equal. And then just because we need that style sheet, I'm just going to quickly jump into our login screen where we already have it. Scroll on up. I'm going to copy that line of code right there. Perfect. Let's go back to our register screen. I'm going to paste that underneath and then add the closing bracket and then the closing parenthesis. Awesome. All right, now let's go back into our view of the style. Right over here, I'm going to add some curly brackets, add that styles with an S, and I'm going to put for this one, dot container. Awesome. All right, so far so good. Now let's go ahead underneath there, and we're going to be adding a text input. So I'm going to go ahead and first open that up, put in a text input. There we go. I'm going to close it out. All right, so inside this text input, we're going to set a couple things. Similar to the last screen, we're going to do a style first, equal, curly bracket. Inside this curly bracket, let's go ahead and do styles with an S, dot. And we can go ahead and just do the text input for this one, like we did in the last one. We'll bring that in later. All right, the next thing we're going to do is add a placeholder as well. I'm going to make that placeholder enter your name. Perfect. Then I'm also going to go ahead and give it a value. And we're going to set that value to curly brackets. And inside those curly brackets, I'm going to go ahead and set this one to name. Awesome. And then the last part we're going to do is just going to be that onChange text. I'm going to Control S to reformat. Oh, might not do that yet. No worries. All right, in that onChange text, let's go ahead and let's add the parentheses for text. Then we're going to do equal, less than, and then go ahead do the set name function or set name state. And I'm going to go ahead and just set that again to text because we want to set that to what is entered. So Control S to reformat. Perfect. All right. So far, so good. I like how it's looking. All right. Now we're going to need this for 3 other ones. So instead of redoing it, we're just going to go ahead and copy it. I'm going to paste it underneath. For this one, let's go ahead and do this one for email. So I'm going to change the name to email. Then I'm going to go ahead and change the set name to set email. Awesome. And then don't forget to change the value as well to email. Awesome. Perfect. Once you got that down, let's go ahead. Let's copy the whole thing again. Underneath, let's paste it. Now for this one, let's do for the password. So let's change everything to what's needed. So instead of your name, I'm going to put password here, or instead of email, password there. And then instead of value, let's put password. Or for value, let's put password, and then the set email, we're going to do set password. Perfect. All right, looking good. Let's copy the whole thing again for the last one. Paste it. All right, let's go ahead. And for this one, we're going to do the image URL. So let's change this password to image space URL. So our user knows what to put. And then in here, let's just put the image URL. And then again, instead of set password, we're going to do set image URL. Perfect. Awesome. All right, make sure you got all that there. I'm going to Control S to save. Perfect. Now underneath that text input, we're also going to go ahead and do a pressable. So let's go ahead, add a pressable. Let's open that pressable up. Inside that pressable, we're just going to give it a text like we did in the last screen. In that text, I'm just going to go ahead and hit sign in, because once our user has all its information, they can create the account and sign it. Awesome. All right, then let's go ahead in the opening tag. Let's set a style equal curly brackets. And then in this style, let's go ahead and do styles with an S. Dot, and I'm going to call this again. Let's do the custom button that we've done in the past. Custom button, capital B. Awesome. All right. And then again, we're going to go ahead and do an on press. And I'm going to go ahead and set that to the register function. Awesome. And then last but not least, let's add the style for the text. Style equal curly brackets, styles with an S. And then I'm going to do dot, and let's just call this what we called the last one, which was button text. Awesome. All right, looking good so far. Let's Control S to save all that. Let's go ahead and open up our app, go to the register screen, and there we go. Now in the next video, we'll add some styling, but so far looking good. Alrighty, I will see you in the next video. Alright, so in this video, we're going to go ahead and add the style to our register screen. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, let's go ahead and add some style. Currently, as you can tell, it doesn't really look like much, so let's go ahead and add what we need. And luckily, we have most of it done already in the login screen page. So let's go ahead and scroll on down to our current style sheet right over here in our register. Let's open that up. And all we're really going to do is just go into our login screen over here. And we're simply going to copy what we need, which I think should be the container all the way down. Let's go ahead and copy this. Let's jump back into the register screen. Let's go ahead and paste what we got in here. Control S to save. Awesome. Let's go ahead, open up our app again. We might need to reload it. So let's go ahead and reload it. Might need to close it and then reopen it. Go to register now. All right, looks like we're still missing some style. Looks like our actual button itself doesn't look viewed. I think we missed one. Let's go back into the login screen, scroll back up. Might be because we don't have this button up here, or possibly because we didn't add the style to it. So I'm going to add this on the top. Let's go ahead, put that there. Control save. Let's look at it again. Oh, still nothing. All right, I think we might have just missed the style for the button. So let's go ahead, and we have text input here, and we have button text. Let's scroll on up to our current items. We have custom button for our pressable. Make sure it's from styles. It should be correct. Let's scroll on down, custom button. Custom button. Maybe we spelled it incorrectly. I'm going to copy that. Oh, I did. I put an E there. So let's go ahead and repaste that there. And then our text input. Is it text input? Let me double check. Nope, it's lowercase t. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back up. I'm going to paste it for each one of these. One there, and then another there. Awesome. Let's go ahead and save that. Control S. Reopen the app. And there we go. It looks a lot better. And as you can tell, we can go back and forth, and it still looks great. Alrighty, don't forget to save. I will see you in the next video. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video and serious about becoming a developer, you should totally consider joining Red Fools Academy. Once you sign up, you will get full access to all of our premium courses, support from myself and the Red Fools Studio team. Our courses include full stack website development, app development, game development, and many more to come. On your first sign up, you get a free 7 days to try it all out. A link will be added to the description, or you can go to the official website at redfoolstudio.com. See you in the lectures! Alright, so in this video we're going to go ahead and add all the imports to our home screen in our login app. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and jump into our home screen, which is right over here. Alright, let's go over the imports we're going to be using. We're going to be adding some more up here from the React Native. Let's do a comma. We're also going to be adding the style sheet. Let's go ahead and add that there. We're going to do a comma. We're also going to be using a pressable. Let's add that in, comma. We're also going to be using image as well. Perfect. All right, make sure you got all that there. Looking good so far. Underneath that import there, we're going to go ahead. We're going to do another one. This is going to be import. Let's give it some curly brackets. In there, we're going to go ahead and use the useState, comma. We're also going to be using the useEffect as well. Sure it's lowercase. There we go. Get rid of that curly bracket. All right. Let's go ahead now and add another one. This one's going to be an import. And we're going to be doing curly brackets. And we're going to be doing that get off. Let's go ahead and find that right down there. Perfect. We're also going to be using, again, the sign out, which we actually haven't used that yet. So let's use sign out. It's going to be right down here. Perfect. Comma. Other than that, we're also going to use a sign in with email and password. Let's go ahead and find that. Sign in with email and password. Awesome. Get rid of that curly bracket back there. All right. So next one we're going to do is another import. We're going to do import of app from Firebase, just like that. Perfect. All right. The next one we're going to do is going to be an import. And this one's going to be for the async storage right there. Awesome. All right, looking good so far. Make sure you got all that in. Don't forget to save. I will see you in the next video. All right, so in this video, we're going to go ahead and add all the functions to our home screen in our login app. Let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add some space underneath our constant home screen right over here. Inside the parentheses right there, though, we're going to have to pass in the navigation. So let's go ahead and do that. Add some curly brackets and then type in navigation. Awesome. All right, control save that, reformat. All right, so underneath that, though, we're going to create some constants like we did in the last couple videos. We're going to create a constant, give it some parentheses or some brackets. Go ahead and put if saved pressed, comma, and then we're going to do the set if saved pressed. Perfect. Then we're going to go ahead, do an equal sign. We're going to do the useState. Go ahead, give it some parentheses, and at first we're going to go ahead and set that to false. Perfect. All right, let's keep going. Underneath that one, we're going to do another constant, give it some brackets. Then we're going to go ahead and do login values, comma. Then we're going to do the set login values. There we go. Then we're going to go ahead, we're going to equal, and we're going to do useState. Give it some parentheses. In there, we're going to go ahead and just give it some empty brackets, just like that. Perfect. Let's go ahead and do the next one, do another constant, give it some brackets. All right. So in this one, we're going to do name of user, comma. Then we're going to do a set name of user. Perfect. Then we're going to go ahead, do an equal sign, do a useState again, give it some parentheses. And in there, we're going to go at first, set it to empty quotes, just like that. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and do another one, another constant. Oh, make sure you're not still inside the parenthesis. There we go. Do another constant, give it some empty brackets. All right, this one we're going to do image, path, comma, set, capital I, image, path. Awesome. We're going to do an equal sign, again, a useState, parentheses. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to set that to empty quotes starting off. Awesome. Let's go ahead, add another one. This will be the last constant. Another constant. This one here is going to be saved login values, comma, and then saved login set saved login values. Let's redo that. There we go. Whoopsie. Set saved login values. Awesome. All right, then we're going to go ahead, do an equal sign. We're going to do use state, not use effect. Use state. Then we're going to go ahead, give it some parentheses, and then empty brackets just like that. Awesome. Go ahead, save all that. Perfect. All right, now let's go ahead and create some functions. We're going to use some of these constants. All right. So the first one we're going to do, we're actually going to go ahead and do some use effects. So let's go ahead and make the first one. So we're going to use use effect, give it some parentheses, open up the parentheses, do an equal sign, less than symbol, open it up. All right. After the bracket right over there, we're going to go ahead and actually, we're just going to keep it by itself. So we can go ahead and keep it like that. But inside of it, though, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a constant. And I'm going to call this unsubscribe. Unsubscribe. Go ahead, equal. And I'm going to call this navigation. Dot add listener. Add listener. And then we're going to go ahead, pass in some quotes. We're going to call this focus. Then we're going to do a comma. We're going to add some parentheses. Then we're going to do an equal less than. Open it up with a curly bracket, just like that. Awesome. And then we're going to go ahead and do a get. And we're going to call it user data. Awesome. All right, unsubscribe, navigation, add listener. All right, looking good. All right, so what this is doing, oh, and actually we're not done yet. We actually have to add a React in here. So go ahead and add a React, capital R, dot useState. There we go. Awesome. All right, make sure you got that in there. So all this is doing is basically it's going to get our user data when our screen focuses. Because if you remember, if we do a use effect normally with no parameters passed in, it's only going to run once at the beginning. But since we're not starting in the home page usually, then we're going to go ahead and do this add listener that sets it if it's focused. So if the screen is focused, then it's going to go ahead and initiate our get user data. Now, don't forget your parenthesis and then semicolon for that, because that's a function that we're going to create later. Awesome. So this is very important. Make sure you got that down as well. Awesome. All right. And looks like actually we're going to add one more thing to it. We're going to add a return below it. And then we're going to do unsubscribe, because of course we need to actually use the unsubscribe. So unsubscribe. And then we are going to pass in a parameter. And that's just going to be our navigation, because when our navigation is used, then we want this to initiate and get the data. Awesome. All right. Perfect. So make sure you got that down. All right. Go ahead and save that. Perfect. All right. Let's go ahead and create another function. So below that, we're going to go ahead and do the get user data function now. So let's create that. That's going to be an async function. We're going to go ahead and call it async function. I'm going to call it get user data. We described it earlier. Give it some parentheses. Open it up with some curly brackets. Perfect. All right. So inside of here, we're going to go ahead. We're going to add some things. The first thing we're going to do is add a try. Curly brackets, open that up. In the try, we're going to go ahead and create a constant. JSON value equals await. And then we're going to use async storage again. Dot get item. And then within there, we're going to pass in the key value. If you remember, we've been using throughout the last couple ones. Let's go ahead and find one and copy it, which is just my login info. Make sure it's exactly the same. I'm going to paste that back in there. Perfect. Awesome. Then we can go ahead, put a semicolon at the end of that. Underneath there, though, then we're going to go ahead and do another constant. Call this one JSON value 2. Go ahead, equal that to all caps JSON dot parse. And then within it, we're just going to do a JSON value, semicolon, perfect. And then, of course, we'll do our if statement. And then we're going to do JSON value 2. If it does not equal null, double equals null. And then we're going to go ahead and set saved login values, wherever that is, right here. Set saved login values. And we're going to go ahead and, of course, pass in the JSON values too. Awesome. All right, looking good so far. Now let's go ahead and add a catch after that try. Simple enough. We're just going to do a catch. Then we're going to go ahead, pass in E for error. Open it up with some parentheses. Inside, we'll just do a simple alert, and then pass in E. There we go. Awesome. All right, make sure you got that in there. Control S, save that. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead, create the next function. This one here is going to be another use effect, and it's going to be a pretty big one because we're going to have a couple things inside of it. So let's go ahead, do use effect. Let's go ahead, pass in the parameters, equal, less than, curly brackets, open it up. All right. So first thing we're going to set in this use effect is going to be an if statement. Then we're going to go ahead and pass in saved login values dot length if they are equal, higher than nothing. Then we're going to go ahead and do some things. We're going to open that up. All right, we're going to do a console log starting off, dot log. In here, we're just going to go ahead and put the saved login values in there so we can double verify them. Then we're going to go ahead and do a constant. We're going to go ahead, do this for auth. And we're going to go ahead and equal that to get auth. And then pass in the app. Perfect. All right, then next thing we're going to need to do is sign in, of course. So to do that, we're just going to go ahead and do the sign in with email and password. And to do that, we're going to go ahead, open that up. Inside of it now, we're going to go ahead and do auth, because we know you have our auth, comma. And then we're going to set the saved login values. And then we're going to do .email, because that's what we're saving it by, if you remember. And it had 2 E's, if you remember. So email with 2 E's, or 2 L's. There we go. All right, email. Then we're going to go ahead, do a comma. And we're going to go ahead and do the saved login values again. Dot password. 2 D's, just like that. All right. So basically, we're grabbing our information from our async storage. And then, of course, we're setting our sign-in value with the email and the password. All right. Awesome. All right. Let's keep going. So after that closing parenthesis, we're going to do a then. So dot then. We're going to go ahead, pass in some parentheses. We're going to go ahead and do user credential. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do an equal, less than. We're going to open up some curly brackets. Awesome. In these curly brackets, we're going to go ahead and do a constant user. And then we're going to go ahead and equal that to user credential, because that's going to be returned to us from logging in. We're going to go ahead and do .user after that, because we need the specific user that we're logged in with. Semicolon. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a console log just so we can view it. Console.log, parentheses. Inside those parentheses, we're going to give it some double quotes and do user signed in, semicolon. Then, still within that then, we're going to go ahead and do an if statement, parentheses. We're going to say user, exclamation point for does not, equal null. Then we're going to open that up. We're going to go ahead and do user dot provider data dot for each, and then pass in a function. So we're going to do profile And then we're going to go ahead, we're going to do equal less than, open it up. And then we're going to add a couple things in here just for console log so you can see this working. We're going to do console.log. And then we're going to go ahead, pass in parentheses. I'm going to say sign in provider, semicolon. And then outside of that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to give it a plus just to add on this next part, which is going to be the profile dot provider ID, which we can use to identify this user. Awesome. Then we're going to copy this whole line for this log. I'm going to do one for each area in case you want to use more than what we're going to be using. We're going to change this to provider over here, provider specific and I'm going to say UID, and then we're going to keep and change this provider ID part to the UID. Awesome. Let's copy this whole line again. Let's paste this under here. We can go ahead and change this one now to name because we're going to output the name as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just do name for there. And instead of UID, I'm just going to put the display name, which provides the name. Awesome. Let's go ahead and copy that. Now let's go ahead and do one for email. So email, and then we can just change that to email. It should work. Awesome. Let's copy that, enter for another one. Let's go ahead and do the photo URL. So we could do photo URL, and then we could go ahead and add that by typing in photo URL. Perfect, just like that. Awesome. All right, still inside of here though. Now we're going to have to set the actual data we need. So we're going to do set name of user. Should be around here somewhere. Set name of user, there we go. And we're going to set that to, if you guessed it, to the profile dot display name. Awesome. Then we're going to go ahead, copy this whole line. Or actually, you don't need to copy it. We'll just go ahead and create it. We're going to do the set image path, and then we're going to pass in the profile dot, and it's the photo URL. Awesome. All right, there you go. Perfect. So that's how you can get your user credentials back. But just to make sure, you have to be signed in. So that's why we're doing this whole step before, is because we need to sign our user in, get the credentials, then we need to do user credentials dot user, and then of course we can go ahead and do the provider data to get each and every field. Now we're only going to be using these two. If for some reason you wanted to use more, then of course you could use these other ones here. Awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and finish this off. We're going to need a catch, and I think it's going to go about right here for this then. So let's go ahead and do an enter. I'm going to do a dot catch. Go ahead, pass in E. Let's go ahead and open that up, and then we're just going to do a simple alert. Oh, actually, we need to do the equal less than. So let's go ahead. I'm going to pass in a parenthesis here, and then a closing parenthesis here. Then we're going to do equal less than. Perfect. Now it should work. All right, now we can do the alert, and then give it some parentheses. Whoops. I'll just redo it. Alert, parentheses, E. Awesome. All right, make sure you got that there for that. Perfect. And I think we should be looking good for this function. The only other thing we need to do is at the end of it, because remember, we started off with this as a use effect. We need to pass in the parameter of when we want this to initiate, when the value changes. And that's going to be for the saved login values. Awesome. All right, perfect. I know that was a little big. Make sure you got that all down. That was a lot. I got the first part, or the second part, and then the first part over here. Awesome. All right, let's keep going. All right, let's create the next function now. Now we're going to do another use effect, which is going to be much smaller. Let's go ahead and do a use effect. Create it with the parentheses. Equal less than curly brackets. Open it up. Awesome. So in here, we're going to do an if statement, parentheses. We're going to do if saved pressed equals 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 true. Then we're going to go ahead open it up with some parentheses or some curly brackets. Inside those curly brackets, we're going to go ahead and do store data, which we're going to be creating pretty soon. Go ahead and close that out, semicolon. And then below that, I'm going to do set if save pressed, and then we're going to reset that to false. Awesome. All right. And when do we want this initiated? We're going to want this initiated when the login values change. Awesome. All right, make sure you got that down. Perfect. Save that. All right, now let's go ahead and create that store data function. So that's going to also be an async function. Let's go ahead and add that. Async. Async function. Let's go ahead and give the store data. Parentheses. Open it up. All right. In here, we're going to go ahead and do a console log. Parentheses. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put the login values. Then I'm going to do another console log. And inside of here, we're just going to give it double quotes and say working. Awesome. Then we're going to go ahead and do a try. Open that up. And inside this try, we're going to go ahead and do a constant. I'm going to do saved values equals. And I'm going to do login values, semicolon. I'm going to do a constant. We're going to do JSON value without the S. We're going to go ahead and do equal await async storage, capital A. And then we're going to do dot set item. Open that up. Inside of here, we're going to, of course, pass in our saved value. So if I go back up all the way, we should have it right here, my login info. Make sure it's exactly the same. That's why I'm double checking it. All right, let's do that there. Then we're going to go ahead and do a comma. And then for the next line, we're going to do capital JSON dot stringify. And then within parentheses, we're going to go ahead and do saved values. There we go. Semicolon. Awesome. All right. Perfect. Looking good so far. Then from here, still inside the try, or actually get rid of that semicolon. You don't need that. Still inside the try, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a console log again. Parentheses. We're going to do, let's say, data stored. Awesome. Then we're going to go ahead and do navigation dot navigate. Navigate, not navigation. So navigation dot navigate. Then we're going to go ahead, give it some parentheses, some quotes, and do login, because if we log out, we're going to want to go back. Awesome. All right. Then let's go ahead and we're going to do a return after that. We're going to do return and say JSON value. Perfect. All right. And then we're going to do a catch and alert. So let's do another catch. So after that, we're going to go ahead and no dot, we're just going to do catch. Go ahead, pass in E. Open that up. Alert. And then E in parentheses. Perfect. All right. Looking good so far. I like it. All right. Make sure you had all that in there. I know it was a lot. All right. Now that we have our stored data function, we can go ahead and move on. Now we're going to go ahead and do that sign out function, and we should be good. So let's go ahead. Do another constant. This one's just going to be sign out. So I'm going to do sign and then out with two T's, because remember, we can't have it the same as the function from Firebase. I'm going to do equal. I'm going to give it some empty parentheses. We're going to go ahead, do an equal sign, less than, open it up. Perfect. Then we can do a constant for auth again, equal. And then we're going to do get auth. And then app inside. Perfect. Semicolon. Then we're going to go ahead. We're going to do sign out, the one from Firebase this time. we're going to go ahead and pass in the auth. Then we're going to go ahead, enter, dot then. We're going to go ahead, pass in some parentheses, keep them empty, do an equal, less than, curly brackets, open it up. Then we're going to go ahead and do set if saved press. We're going to go ahead and set that to a true, semicolon. Then we're going to go ahead and do a set login values. I'm going to go ahead and change that to an empty array because if we log out, then we're going to want to reset our values to nothing. That's why we want that there. Perfect. Let's go ahead now and do a console log. Give it some parentheses. Then we're going to go ahead and just say user has signed out. And then we're going to go ahead in here. We're going to do a navigation dot navigate. And we're going to go ahead and then send it to login. Perfect. Semicolon. Awesome. All right. Then after that, we're going to do a dot catch. So dot catch. We're going to go ahead, pass in error. Oop. Or we just do E again. We're going to do equal, less than, curly brackets, open that up. And then just a simple alert with an E. Awesome. All right, so far so good. Go ahead and save that. Perfect. Make sure you got the sign out function here. It's rolling up. Make sure you got the store data function right here. Awesome. Make sure you have our use effect here and this other big use effect for our logging in and creating user and all that stuff. Awesome. And then our last one, user get data. And then the other use effect. And then, of course, our constants. Awesome. Make sure you got all that in there. I know that was a lot. All right. So far, so good. Don't forget to save. I will see you in the next video. All right, so in this video, we're going to go ahead and add some structure to our homepage. Let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, let's go ahead and add some structure now. So let's go to our return right over here in our homepage. All right, we're going to be adding a couple things. Let's go ahead and get rid of that text inside of it. All right, so in our view, let's go ahead and add some style. But before we do that, let's go ahead and drag and drop our style into our actual screen. So I'm going to go to the login page again. I'm going to go ahead and copy that constant styles, Control C. I'm going to go back to our home page. I'm going to paste that underneath our export right there. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and close it out with a curly bracket and then a parenthesis, Control S to save. Awesome. All right. Let's go back to our return. And in our opening tag right over here, we're going to go ahead and type in style equals. I'm going to do curly brackets, styles with an S. And then we're going to do a dot container. Awesome. All right, now inside of our view, we're going to go ahead and add some more things. First thing we're going to add actually is just another text. I know we just got rid of it, but adding it again. All right, in our opening tag, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to add a simple style equal curly brackets. I'm going to go ahead and give it styles with an S. And then simply enough, I'm going to go ahead and do dot, and I'm going to call this header text, just like that. Awesome. And then I'm going to go ahead inside the double tags right there. I'm going to go and put hello and then give it some curly brackets. And then we're going to be passing in our name. You remember that was just the name of user. Awesome. There we go. All right. So far, so good. Now, next thing we're going to do right underneath that is we're going to go ahead and add an image. So go ahead, do the image tag. I'm going to do a slash enclose because we don't need double tags for this. Then inside our image, I'm going to go ahead and give it a style. And I'm going to do equal. And I'm going to give it a manual style. So I'm going to double, give it those curly brackets. I'm going to give it curly brackets again inside. And then just so we can set it pretty simply, I'm going to do a width, colon. I'm going to give it a double quotes of 100%. I'm going to do a comma after it. And then I'm going to do a height. And I'm going to set that as well. Actually, instead, I'll just set that to a 400. Awesome. All right. So outside of those curly brackets, we're going to set one more thing. That's going to be the source of the image, of course. And if you remember, we're going to go ahead, give it some double brackets, and we're going to set the URI, colon. And then how we're going to do it is we're going to use the back quote right there. For me, it's on the top left of my keyboard, right under my escape key. I'm going to go ahead and type in the dollar symbol. Let's go ahead and find that. There we go. Then we're going to go ahead and give it some parentheses, and then we're going to pass in image path. And that's how you can put something inside quotes. That's going to give us our actual image. So make sure you do that. Perfect. All right, underneath that image though, we're going to go ahead and add a pressable. Let's go ahead and create a pressable. All right, inside that pressable, we're going to go ahead and add some text. All right, between those two texts, I'm just going to go ahead and put sign out. Awesome. In the opening tag of that pressable, let's go ahead and give it a style. So equal curly brackets. I'm going to go ahead and give it styles with an S. Dot. And I'm going to say custom button. There we go. And then we're going to add an on press right after that. So on press. And I'm going to go ahead and use the sign out with double T's. That's what we named the function because we didn't want to copy it before to just the first one to match the Firebase. All right, let's go ahead in the text one now. We're going to add a style in here as well. Equal curly brackets. Then we're going to do styles with an S. And I'm going to do a dot, and we should just name it. We could just do button text. Awesome. All right, so far so good. So go ahead and make sure you have all that down. Control S to reformat. There you go. Make sure you got that. Alrighty, I will see you in the next video. Alright, so in this video, we're going to go ahead and add all the style to our home screen. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is actually get to the home screen on our app. So let's go ahead and open up our emulator. Let's go to the register. Let's go ahead and enter a name. I'm going to use Bobby with 2 B's. I'm going to go ahead and give it an email. I'm just going to do bobby@gmail.com. I'm going to go ahead and enter a password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to leave the URL blank because we have a default one already set. I'm going to go ahead and do sign in. And there we go. Awesome. So now let's go ahead and start editing the style. So first thing we're going to do is go ahead, scroll on down to our style sheet. Let's open that up. All right. So in here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually use most of the ones we have been using. So we can just simply go into our login screen. I'm going to go ahead and just copy all of our values here. Control C. Let's go ahead into our home screen. I'm going to paste these in there. The only one we have to add, and we can actually get rid of a couple. Well, one, we can get rid of the text input because we're not going to be inputting any text here. So let me get rid of that. But we will add a header text. So let's go ahead and do a comma. Header text. Let's go ahead and create it. We're going to add a couple different styles for it. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to give it a font size. I'm going to set that font size to, let's say 30, comma. Then we're also going to go ahead and give it a font weight. I'm going to go ahead and set that to bold. There we go, comma. We're also going to go ahead and we're going to do color. And I'm going to set that to purple. All right, then we're going to do a comma. And we're going to go ahead and just give it a margin. And we're going to set that margin to 5. Awesome. So go ahead, make sure you got all these styles in it. Go ahead, save that. Let's go ahead and open up our app. And there we go. Looks pretty good to me. All set. Don't forget to save. I will see you in the next video. All right, so in this video, we're going to go ahead and review the app we've made and fix any remaining bugs. Let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, let's go over the bugs first. So the only 2 bugs I noticed, which aren't necessarily bugs, is the first one is Firebase telling us we need to use async storage, which we already are, but we're not using the persistence thing, which you are totally welcome to do. I just wanted a little more control, which is why I went about the way I did. So if you want to get rid of that warning though, all you really have to do is go to the app.js, go up to the top over here. And what I normally do is I'll just go ahead and paste in this warning thing that gets rid of our warning. And this is up to you if you want it or not, just so you don't have that warning anymore. The other warning we're getting is that we're not importing or inserting any data inside our URI, but I did that as well because we used a default one like this. Now, if you wanted to use it, all you would have to do is, of course, change it to the input URI, which we have, I think, right up here that we're not using. Yep, it is image URL. So if you put that in there instead of that long text that I have or your own image, then you can have the user have the ability to set it. If you want to have like a if statement for it, you can also do that as well. That's completely up to you. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and review the app we've created. So we have this simple login app where you can go ahead and log in if you already have a user here. If you don't, then you can go ahead and register a new user. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to call this just Billy. I'm going to do billy@gmail.com. I'm going to give it a password of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to leave that blank because we have a default one here. I'm going to hit sign in. And there you go. There you have our profile image. We have a name, and then we can also sign out. We can also sign back in if we want to. We can just go ahead and do the email we made. So billy@gmail.com. And then we can go ahead, enter the password we created also, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go ahead and sign in. Awesome. There you go. So far, so good. Alrighty, that's it for this video. I will see you next time. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video and serious about becoming a developer, you should totally consider joining Red Fool's Academy. Once you sign up, you will get full access to all of our premium courses, support from myself and the Red Fool Studio team. Our courses include full stack website development, app development, game development, and many more to come. On your first sign up, you get a free 7 days to try it all out. A link will be added to the description, or you can go to the official website at redfoolstudio.com. See you in the lectures!